Just a second. Yeah. Good evening, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. Yesterday, whatever we discussed, did anyone try to experiment with that? Could you please say yes or no in the chat box? Chat box here. Suraj, where can I see this chat box here in this app? Siraj?
Sir, it is in bottom, sir. Bottom center.
All the controls are on the upper side to me.
Maybe you might disable something, sir.
No, I just downloaded the Zoom app today so that my voice will be clear and all. So all right. All right. Today, let's start discussion with a couple of questions. Today, our topic is creating a sentiment analysis classifier to rate a review comment of the product. For this, the background required is people with like little bit knowledge about Python is required, and people who are already working in this area of NLP would easily understand the flow of the overall use case. And people who already work with Jupyter Lab or PyCharm or PyTorch or any Spider or Anaconda tools, any kind of code editor for Python will understand much quicker than others. And also people who already work with building a machine learning model, any sort, using any algorithm, okay, will be easily can understand this part. And people who worked with deep neural network, creating a neural network with multiple layers, will also understand very quickly this use case. So people who are for the first time they are listening to this concept, don't worry. Today you are going to learn many tools and also many concepts, and I assure that by the end of the session you will be able to develop your first machine learning model and also save the model for the future analysis, and also you can use this model in any of your applications. Okay, so basically I will try to give the background of the data. This is a data set, public data set, which is made available by AWS, Amazon Web Services. This data is Amazon product reviews. This is available in AWS datasets, also available in TensorFlow datasets, free datasets. There are many datasets which are given by TensorFlow. You can use any of the datasets for your analysis or creating a model around it. We are not taking all the customer reviews of all the categories, all the products in the Amazon. We are actually taking one segment of one product segment of the Amazon products, which is like electronics, mobile reviews. So the customers, whoever gave the feedback rating along with the text comment, we have extracted that data is available in the structured format, and we are going to create a model which will read all the text-based comments and also understand the ratings which are connected to that each and every rating. So for example, the product is very amazing. The moment I see the product, I was like, wow, and the features are very cool. So this is a positive, positive kind of comment. So one can expect the user will give either 4 or 5 rating for the product. So like that, the data set which we are going to deal with is having close to 1,05,000 reviews along with the star rating. So these two are the data set which we are taking. Now we will create a LSTM by LSTM model, machine learning model, and we are going to feed this data to that model so that it will be ready for the future predictions. For that, I'm not going to use any of my desktop tools. I'm going to use the as I told you, the topic also involves cloud computing introduction and the products which are hosted in or managed by the cloud. I'm going to use Google Colab, which is a cloud-based environment, coding environment, like a Jupyter notebook. Um, in Colab, I'm gonna use TensorFlow, which is an open source machine learning libraries by provided by Google for the machine ML model creation and training and all, which I'm gonna show you anyways. Before that, all the participants kindly open your mobile and download an application called Mentimeter, which is 4 MB. I'm just show you the spelling of it so that you don't. Mentimeter. It is available in Play Store. I'm going to give a small quiz kind of thing, and I can evaluate the answers immediately here with this tool. So download this Mentimeter in the Play Store from Play Store. The quiz will be only for 20 seconds. So kindly download this quickly. Mentimeter. Yeah, Mentimeter. I hope you have downloaded. I'll give you last 30 seconds to download. Once you download the Mentimeter, I'm popping up the first question to everyone. In Mentimeter, once you open the application, please enter, it will ask you for a code. Please enter 416636. Please enter 416636 and answer the first question. Only one person answered. Four one six six three six. I think results are already out. I'll change out the dedicated camera over here. All right. Yes, no is leading. Anyways. So my question was, did you really did you work with the Google Colab? Okay, the answer most often is no. And let me show you the first look of Google Colab. I'm repeating again, by the end of this session, we will be creating a machine learning model which classifies the sentiment. So we are going to train this model with Amazon customer reviews. So close to, we will be taking a testing and training data set of close to 10,000 or 20,000 like that. And we will train this model, and we will also save the model in the local so that it will be ready for the future purpose. Okay. If time permits, I'll also show you how people will deploy that in the real time. They will first flash the application, and then they distribute this model to the customer sites or mobile with Docker and Kubernetes. So that's a overall process. Now, Google Colab, you need to have only Gmail to start with Google Colab. It is a fully managed service in Google Cloud platform, and it is a Jupyter notebook over web. Okay. Now, this you can actually see if you have Google Drive attached to your Gmail, then you can click on New. Under More, you will have Google Collaboratory, which is in short Google Colab. So once you click on this, you'll get an empty one. But the one which I'm using is already the completely code developed one. So by default, it will be empty. Now, if you see this here, you need to connect so that the runtime will be started. Resources will be allocated to your Colab. Now, for the deep learning problems, better to use GPUs than CPU so that your complete running will be a little faster. So for that, you need to set your GPUs, which can be done from sessions. By default, okay. Change runtime type. Under runtime, once you click on change runtime type, you can select either CPU, GPU, or TPU. By default is CPU, so I've selected GPU. TPU is a tensor processing unit, which is much faster than your GPU. Now, for the problem statement, the architecture is this. The data which is coming is Amazon Mobile Electronics Review dataset. One thing that you need to understand is in real time, the electronic review dataset, or what are the data which is coming in from different sources, is not in a proper shape. The data may be generated from different departments in different formats. So the job of the data engineers will be collecting those data from the various sources in different formats and convert that into a proper format, where your data scientist or data analyst or your machine learning engineers can work on that. So this data is already in proper shape. So we are collecting the data, and that data is given to a certain process over here. We're gonna explain you. So here, first, once we get the data, we need to get familiar with a few words, which I'm going to tell you anyways. We need to tokenize the text reviews. What do you mean by tokenization? Tokenization is like, for example, wow, the product is really good. Here, every word is divided into single token. Like imagine that, wow, the product is good. Just imagine a JSON file, JSON string with wow, the product is good. Double quotes, again wow, comma, the in the double quotes, comma, again in the products in double quotes. So imagine that. So that process will be done under tokenization process. Then all the tokens will be encoded. Why we need to do this? First of all, computer cannot understand your complete statement as it is. So you need to convert that into some numbers, so that then only your machine learning model or neural network can understand what exactly you're talking about. So that process is going on here. Okay, so first as a process, in that tokenize and then encode. Here, while encoding means, as we are giving close to 1 lakh reviews, 1 lakh reviews, these 1 lakh reviews may have different lengths, different sizes of your strings. One person may say a review comment in 10 words. One person may give you review comment in 1,000 words. One biggest review comment in this data set is close to 570 words. So such a big review comment he has given. So those review comments are tokenized, and then each unique word will be given one unique number by the encoding process. Okay, we are going to show you all these things, hardly 1-2 lines of code. Each statement is 1-2 lines of code. Just imagine, just believe me, first time you need to do any algorithm with utmost care, or any coding with utmost care. Next time onwards, it's very easy, and it is not also difficult actually. Okay, there are a lot of resources available. A lot of documentation is also available for the TensorFlow from Google, so you can actually serve them. All the data sets I'm going to show you, of course. And then after the tokens are converted into encoded numbers, then, as I told you, each review comment length is not same. They differ in size. So padding is the process where I will create a padded string by taking the highest, biggest or longest review comment. For example, as I told you, some 570 words are there in one of the review comment. So let's take first review comment has let's say 3 words or 4 words. The biggest one is, let's say, 570. Now first review comment I will pad with another 563 zeros, so that all my review comments tokens are in the same in the size, because we are going to convert this into a vector. So while converting it into the vector, all my word vectors should be of same size, so that it will be easy for my network to really understand and move forward. Probably you might have read about one heart or bag of words. Okay, all these algorithms in your day-to-day life. So padding helps you to create a word vector of similar size. Then we will apply bidirectional LSTM algorithm. I'm going to explain you about this also. And then the overall model will be evaluated, and then we will save the model. This is all training and creating the model. Once you choose the best model out of your training program, okay, Professor Santosh Sharma raised your hand. Let me see your comment. Please post your question, Sharma Garu. You can ask directly. I think here chat box is not visible to me. Sharmagar, you can ask me. Siraj, am I audible properly?
Yes, sir, you are audible, sir. Please continue. I think Sharma is having some connectivity problem, or I don't know what happened to him. Please, you carry on, sir.
Okay, fine. Now, yeah, once you create the model and save the model, see, while you're training your model, you will run the entire data set for number of times over the network, so that you can pick up the best one, which we call as epochs. So while you are training, let's say 10 epochs, 10 times the model will be trained. Then we can pick the best model, which got trained. How do you know the best model? Should be the accuracy should be very good. So that anyways there is also a very automated process, very easy steps, 1 or 2 steps. Then we will save that model which is with high accuracy in one file format, and later we take that model and make it ready for the deployment. So while deploying it, first step is you can create you can Flask it. Flask is a single threaded server where your model will be saved in some format. Anyways, I'm going to show you that how it is going to save. And this Flask application will be given to Docker container software. From there, you can deploy it in the real-time system with Kubernetes Flow or Kubeflow, which is a managed service again in Google Cloud. So this one. Now, are you guys ready for the one more question? I'll start the Mentimeter. Next question, here is the next question. The code is 416636. Much time. Question is not still showing that. Why it is not showing that? 20 seconds, right? So why it is taking much time? Yeah. Are you able to see the question?
The question is not visible.
I don't know why. These free softwares are not working properly. The same way, this one also. Okay, the question was Google Colab is what? A desktop-based code editor, browser-based code editor, a browser-based cloud-managed code editor. The option is obviously browser-based cloud-managed code editor. Okay, for the people, whoever, I think, yeah. So we'll move on to the our coding session. Yeah. Now, so that's the development of the part, and then of course the process of productionizing it. Now, for the people whoever want to see the overall application area of NLP, natural language processing, and natural language understanding, there are so many applications that we can do. A few of the applications areas you might have understood, or you might have worked with, or you might have read somewhere. Today, whatever we are doing is this part, sentiment analysis part. Okay, this comes here. Now, so these are the two images which I have included, which I have copy pasted from my into my Google Colab. You can also do the same thing by inserting text and code feature. Here, the beauty of this tool is you can have your comments, also some text about the code or procedures or whatever within the editor itself. So like this, something like this you can type, and also you can insert images, which I've done here. While inserting the image, you need to make sure that the image is saved in Google Drive. From there, you can extract into Colab. Now, before we start the code, couple of important things which we need to discuss. I think I have already covered a couple of things, but still, if anything is missing, then let me cover. Yeah. So I discussed about Colab and TensorFlow. Yeah, TensorFlow, as I told you, you need to see a TensorFlow. It's a free open source software library for majorly for machine learning applications. You can browse the documentation. You have APIs, resources, and all. Which version is actually running now? Presently, 2.2 is the latest version, which is called Nightly. And then you can see TensorFlow datasets. There are many data sets available. Under catalog, tf dot with TensorFlow dot data dot datasets is how you actually access them. Our data set which we are going to work is under this Amazon US reviews. The description of the data set, you can see this, and from where you can download. S3 is the simple storage service under Amazon Web Services. From there you can download that. Also you can actually access directly from TensorFlow datasets object. So in details about each and every data set. So like that, you have a lot of images for your machine learning problem, machine learning practice, or creating models, audios and object detections, question answers. If you recall, Mr. Gyani sir actually show an example for the object detection by PyTorch. In that, the object is specifically colored in one color, actually each and every object. So there are a couple of open source frameworks are there, libraries are there like OpenCV and YOLO. So you can use those libraries to solve object detection problems and text summarization, translation, videos. So you can actually work on these data sets and based on your interest. So even in this also, you can see a lot of data sets for each category. For example, reviews for software products, shoes, and then pet products, appliances, video games, watches. So each category, each category wise, he has given the data set. Now, so TensorFlow dataset URL is that O2 vector. These are the key different keywords which you need to understand before we get into the coding part. So try to understand here so that we can smoothly move on when we are working on looking at the code. O2 vector is a two-layer neural, of course. Yeah, as I told you, the words converted into vector format so that your machine can understand those things. So how we do all those things, we'll see anyways. And one important keyword or step that we need to understand is mounting the drive onto the Google Colab. What do you mean by that? If you want, once you train the model, you have to save your model file somewhere. So for that, I'm saving and also re-accessing the saved model from the Google Colab, from the Drive. So initially there is no connection between your Colab and Google Drive. For that, I need to mount my Drive as a file system on Colab. For that, again, couple of lines of code is enough. Alternatively, you can also save the model file in temporary folder of your Colab resources. Also, you can access from there. It's up to you how to access. And CPUs, GPUs, and TPUs. Your GPU is good for the computationally high performance required processors, and TPUs much more than that. And CPUs are for the less data and not for the deep neural network. It actually kills your resources and slow down the process. So anyways, I don't need to invest as I'm using my free resources from Google Cloud Computing. I'm using the graphical processing unit. As I told you, tokenization. First, all your reviews need to be tokenized like this, separate words, and then I need to encode them, and then I need to pad it with extra spaces with zeros in my vector. And yeah, the network which I'm going to use is recurrent neural network. I think most of you know the purpose of recurrent network. Imagine a movie video, where you have different frames. if you want to find out some reasoning around this scene, then in those cases, there should be a relation established between the previous frame and the present frame. So, or previous frame content and the present frame content. So, for in those cases, you can actually go for recurrent neural network, but recurrent neural network also fails in few cases where if the distance between the previous one and the present one is little long. What it means? Take an example. Let's say the clouds are in the sky. Let's say this statement has, if you give these kind of statements to your RNN network, then cloud and sky are correlative words, and the distance between them actually can be mapped. Very simple RNN can work. But if I go further complex statements to take the context of this statement or reasoning or analyze the correlation between the words, for a given example like this, their RNN may not efficiently work. In those cases, we can go for long short-term memory neural network, which we called as LSTM. We are using bidirectional here, so that it can see the connected statements in the forward direction and also backward direction. You can refer the open text from Google about these algorithms to go in depth. Here, we are taking the deep neural network with multiple layers. Anyways, we are going to see in each layer how many neurons we have and what is the output in a coding example. And you need to understand a couple of functions here. We have to use activation function. I think most of you know activation functions are mathematical equations that determine the output of your neural network. This function is attached to each neuron in the network and determines whether it should be activated, fired or not, based on the whether each neuron input is relevant for the model prediction, how close it is. Based on that, it fires. Simply, you can see activate. The name itself is saying when to activate. That's it. Okay. The general, because I'm avoiding the theory part because I have to deal much more with the practical approach. So lot of code is there to explain. Anyway, this text is open text. You can actually find anywhere in Google. And this is the basic process carried out by a neuron in neural network. Take the input and multiply the take the input parameters or input text or whatever, whichever is coming, and multiply that by the neuron weight and add bias so that you can adjust the weight to the closer to the prediction and feed the result to the activation function, then take the output. So this is the standard process for any neuron. That's where you actually use the activation function. For that, actually, yes, son. There are many types of activation functions are there. Majorly, we are going to deal with the non-linear activation functions, out of which there are majorly 7 common activation functions, which are non-linear, sigmoid, and then tanh, and we are also having ReLU. In our case, we are going to use ReLU because our problem is computationally very high, big problem, very demanding. So, in such use cases, better to go for ReLU activation function. If you want a classification, if you're dealing with a classification problem, then better to go for a softmax activation function. Like that, different cases uses different activation functions. And one more important thing while training your network is optimizers. They are the algorithms or methods used to change the attributes of your neural network, such as weights, learning rate. All these things are taken care by your optimizer. And you also need to use loss functions where Loss function is actually tells you how better your overall network is actually learning, or how far it is from the expected accuracy. So in this case, we are using binary cross entropy as a loss function. Now, look at this. Now I'm using a GPU, so I'm just trying to test. I'm just executing the segment by segment so that you can understand the flow of it. This is the GPU resource allocated to us at this point of time. So to understand this, you can use this magic command. Now, as I told you, I need to connect between my Google Drive and also from the Google Drive and the Google Colab. For that, I need to mount my Google Drive. For that, these are the two lines of code you have to write. Once you execute this, it will show you a link where I need to authenticate my Google Colab for accessing my drive. Paste this authorization code here. In the next step, I'll be I'm installing the latest version of the TensorFlow, which is nightly. They're asking for your permission to install. Further, just see these lines of code. We are also importing the TensorFlow datasets. As we are using the environment, we are using the import OS, and daytime we may be using it later point of time. You know why PP is used, right? To install the libraries and all. So Google Colab is actually downloading the required resources and installing in its environment. So generally, if you work in the local desktop, all these things you need to do by yourself. Yeah. So once this is the processing is over, you can see that, and then come down. So you have to import your TensorFlow as an object, as a TF, and then data sets. You don't need to re-instantiate it, no problem. One time is enough. I'm using my 2.2.2, which is latest version. I'm removing any local libraries are there because I've been practicing this. I've been using the same code again and again for multiple times. So I'm cleaning them every time. To see which version is installed, you need to use tf dot underscore underscore version underscore underscore. Yeah. From here, I'll go a little slow because so till this point, what we have done is we have imported the required libraries and mounted the Google Drive into the Colab, and we have used GPU and also tested it, which GPU we have using it or which GPU got allocated to us. So all those details we have seen, nothing much. Okay, hope you guys are clear till this point. This Mentimeter is somehow it is not working. So let me show you one more question. TensorFlow is an open source ML platform. Yes or no, or limited features. It's completely open source. Actually, I planned for a quiz kind of thing, but it is not working now somehow. Then come back. I hope you are comfortable to this point.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. All right. I have another 40 minutes. Enough. Now, from here, kindly look into this carefully, because you can work on your model with your data set from the available range. Okay. There are so many data sets available, so you can use one data set in the same code. Anyways, I will be sharing this complete collab with you also, so that you can practice. For your benefit, I have actually given all the comments clearly. So while you are going through code step by step, kindly redo it. Don't copy paste it. If you copy paste it, you never know where to put the commas, dots, all those things you cannot understand. So first time, if you are doing it for the first time, kindly redo it. People who already worked on this, you can utilize as you wish. Here, this TFDS is nothing but your TensorFlow data sets dot load method, and give your name for your data set. Here you can see the various names over there. Okay, Amazon underscore US underscore reviews slash video games underscore v100. So that's the for that videos, and then this is for the watches, like that. And this is for the mobile electronics. Then I'm taking this as a train data set into my train underscore data set object. There internally it is already divided into train and test. So I'm taking this, and if I see the length of my overall set, it is extracting the data set into local environment. It takes a couple of seconds because the number of records are very high. People who would like to do the paperwork also, research papers, you can actually use many data sets over here and establish your results also. You can, of course, you can try with multiple algorithms while building the model and see the performance of each and every model with by plotting different graphs with Plotlib. So for them, this is kind of a feast. If this is my local machine, it takes a lot of time. Almost done. In the next two lines, see the buffer size and batch size. I don't want to overload my processor with all the records in a single go. So that's the reason I'm taking a buffer size of 30,000 and each batch size 120 under this, so that what happens is all 1 lakh records, 1 lakh plus records are divided into this buffer size of 30,000 each and will be loaded. And even in that also, it creates batches of 128. You can take your customized sizes, of course. Loaded by this time. Just a second. This gives the length of the complete data set. Okay, let that take some time, no problem. Meanwhile, I'll try to explain the other lines code. So here, after taking the batch size of buffer size of 30,000, I'm not using the same order. So in order to shuffle the order of the reviews, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, that same sequence can be shuffled if you would like to shuffle them. Shuffling gives you the better way of training. So I've just used this. So the number of records is like 1,04,975. So let me execute this and this. Now let's take a view at two records. So to take the two records, you need to call a function called take, and it's not TensorFlow is not directly like your pandas where you can take the data frame and then print two rows of top two or top three, bottom five, like not like that. You need to iterate them. So like this. So once you take the two records, the data is there. Data under the data, you have review body. So let's see how those two reviews are. So this is the review command. and this is your review comment star rating, and this is the another review comment, and it seems this user has a negative feedback because I'm taking below 3 and 3 are negative feedbacks, and more than that 4 and 5 are positive feedbacks. I'm considering in that way. It's up to you how you consider, but here I wrote that. I mentioned in that way. Now, once you have your review comments, then use your tokenizer class to tokenize them and see how it exactly looks after tokenizing them. Same, see, under the data, you have review body, review comment. There are so many other fields are there under this data set, but they are not relevant for this problem statement. This vocab size gives you all the words which are there in the complete 1,04,975 reviews. Now this encoder, as I told you, will give you a unique code for each and every vocab, which are there in tokenizer. Let's see one comment, one or two comments, and understand how this tokenization and encoding is done. This case has a cover over the power button. It is so stiff that it is difficult. So that kind of comment he has given. So each word is encoded into a unique number. You can see that. For example, it is repeated here and also here. You might find the same number. What is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Yeah, 3, 4, 2, 7, 2. And after 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 3, 4, 7, 2, 2, 7, 2. So when the same word repeats, then the same token will be given, the same encoding will be given. Now, to convert all my reviews into this unique numbering, which is encoding, I'm writing two functions, generic functions, so that they loop through one by one and go through the entire process of your encoding. So that those two functions are generic functions. While you are also using any of the data set, you can directly use these two. But make sure that if you have any custom names or strings, take care of that. So this function, as I told you, converts all the comments into the encoding. You can see the encoded strings now. See, the length of one review comment is different from the another one. So to avoid that, to create a word vector of similar size, I'll opt for padding. You can see after padding, zeros will be added to your string like this. Okay. Vocab size 1 + 1 is taken here, so that indexing will be followed. This is not necessary, these two lines. Now, important, very important part of the overall code. So far, what we have done, we have taken the complete data set and tokenized them, each and every review comment, and then encoded them. And to attain the uniformity for the word vector, we have padded the overall all the review comments. That's it. That is by inbuilt functions are there, like encoder, tokenizer, and padding based on the size and all. So I have padded to the maximum size. That's it. Now look at this. I'm taking a network in Keras. So TF TensorFlow dot Keras dot sequential. The first one is embedding layer, where all my words, whichever we have prepared. Just imagine a word vector of size, let's say 1/1000. Like that, you have 1 lakh records. And I'm forming a first neural network layer, vertical, imagine vertical neurons. Give your inputs, all the 1 lakh records to each neuron. Just imagine that way. Okay, so this is your first layer. Then layer is layer here. So the output of this comes to here. Okay, and another 2 layers I'm using here, which are dense neurons with activation function as my ReLU. As we discussed, these layers will try to correlate. Correlate the words and the closure, correlate the closure is done by your these 2 layers. And the outcome for us is only 1 neuron, because we are telling whether it is a positive or negative comment. That's it. So in my network, I have these many layers. So there is no guarantee that this network will give me the best model out. I need to try out with different neurons, with a different number of neurons and different kind of functions, activation functions, different dense layers, so that I can see till I need to experiment them, so that I will get my proper model. So after a couple of iterations, I stick to this model. Okay, if I still need to, because with this I have reached 0.96 accuracy with this model. So that's where I stick. If you still want to improve the model, you can add more dense layers, or you can add LSTM. You can try with that, or you can add more neurons. But also make sure that your model is not overfit. Okay. I'm removing any temporary locks over there. No temporary locks now. Model is not defined. I think initial line. Now I'm saving the best model. For that, what do you mean by best model? If this is the sequential model what I have, and while in the process of training, I may run the entire model for more than once. Obviously, I need to run more than once. That is mentioned here as epoch. See, if I say epoch 5 or 10 or 15, that means all my entire data set is going to iterate through the training process for those many times, 4 times or 10 times or 5 times, like that. So while it is going through iterative process, when the model, which model is best one, I need to know. For that, model is best or worst means good accuracy. So for that, I need to use a callback and dot model check, which will give me save the best only. I made it true, so that best model will be saved into this one. Okay, and I'm also using a temporary location to save the model. After this compile means just before the model training. Now model dot fit is where your model starts, training starts. Train data we have given 10,000 above, and validation also we gave the 10,000 out of 1 lakh. You can give much more bigger than that. It's up to you. Always better to have, let's say, 50,000 or 60,000 as your train data, and another 20,000 your test data, and another 20,000 as your, or 30,000 is as your valuation data. So evaluate data, so that train and test and then evaluate with the unseen data. Generally what happens is training data and test data should be different, and also evaluate data should be separate. So you have to strategize the entire data set into 3 parts or 4 parts, so that you can test with the different unseen data while you once your model is ready. So epoch 5 means it revolves through the entire data set 5 times. So it takes at least 10 minutes. So I will leave it there because I have already saved this model somewhere. So I'm going to use that directly because it is going to take time. So I've saved it somewhere. So this model will be saved in this path. So I already have 2 different models like that. The first one actually I trained for almost 15 times. The second one only for two or 3 times. So I'm not considering this training now. So already saved model, I'm using it. If you want to see this, it may take some time. So let's not touch that. Even this model evaluate makes no sense if you run this, because your model is still under training here. I'll stop it so that you can go forward. If you want to see that what is happening, you can have a look over there. See, this accuracy is increasing as and when this training is improving. The accuracy reaches 0.9 something, then you are very close to good model. That happens over number of epochs. My first epoch is running now, first one. Another 20 minutes. So still this is improving. Let me stop it here, this one, so that we can see already trained model. You can view the layers in your model by executing this. For example, you are not the creator of the model. If you are utilizing the already existing model, then you can see or examine the layers like this. And also you can see this one, model.summary, so that how many parameters are over, it is actually considering. In this case, it is almost like 1 million parameters. First layer. If you want to see only one particular layer and how many neurons are there, you can observe, you can examine like this. Now, if you want to see the accuracy over a plotted graph, then actually this model is not really good because the one which was running, the accuracy, if you see, it is going to almost 1. So it is actually attaining the overfitting model. But the one which I trained for 15 times was really good. So the more the training, more the time, if you give more number of epochs, then you can see how the accuracy and loss actually plotted in the graphs. Now, as I told you, I'm loading the already saved model in my temp folder. So let's load this model and test it. What happened? Okay, before the session, I shut down my machine. Probably the temp file's gone over. Okay. All right, let's run this model once. Let's run this with one epoch so that quickly training will be finished. It's fit. Oops, wait. Oh my God. In between, I've interrupted the overall training process. So instead of going through the entire process, anyways, while in Flask, I'll show you the example. Don't worry how that works. But I have given one example at the bottom of the notebook. See, that's how you create the model and then load this one. Instead, you can also save this model in your Google Drive. Yeah. So after training, after loading the model, let's assume that this model is loaded here, and then after loading the model, you have to give the different reviews for testing if you want to give. And for that, I've written two more generic functions which will tokenize the review comment given by you and encode them and pad them to size 100. If you want 1000 also, it's up to you. And then whatever the model you have, you can ask predict. Okay, so these are the two functions which will help you. So while you are working with any of these data sets, make sure that you have these two functions also, so that you can give your review comments to test it after training model, so that you can see how accurate your models are. Here, the extreme negative reviews will be on the negative x-axis, and extreme positive will be on the positive x-axis till 5, -5 to 5, let's say. So for that, what I've done is I've taken 3 examples to demonstrate you. So I have taken 3 examples. First one is, see, I have taken a straight negative, straight positive. Here, I have taken a review which is little sarcastic in nature. The user says, amazing, what kind of product you have sent me? This is the worst product that I have purchased so far, let's say. So, but here the model is not confused. Actually, it gave a very good result. The user actually is negative about the product, but he started with a word called amazing. Generally, if the model see the word amazing, actually should give the positive review or positive rating. But as we are using LSTM, it is also taking the context of the overall review. That's the beauty of this algorithm. It is taking the context of the other statements. So while considering that, it gives the a negative review comment, negative, what to say, negative feedback, like minus. It gave actually close to 1 or close to zeros actually. This one gave me straight negative, which is actually here. If you see, this is the feedback. Of course, I can actually separate that and then of course show that into the outcome. And it may not work now because, as I told you, the model is not loaded. Let me try. Yeah, obviously it is an error. You can try that. For that, what I've done is I've taken model which is saved in my drive. I will, if possible, I'll share this drive also. I have saved the model in this file, sentiment_analysis.hdf file. Okay, and this is the vocab file for all the unique vocabs, where close to 70,000 some odd number vocabs are there from this review set. So we need these 2 files for the production purpose. Okay, so in one of the lines, we have saved this also in the entire Colab file. Kindly go through it. And then this Flask application, as I told you, Flask is a single-threaded server where you need to run this, install these things, Flask ngrok is gives you a public server IP address so that you can test it with that IP. As I told you, I'm using the drive as my file system. I hope you are able to follow me on this. Necessary imports and all, mounting the drive. Here, I'm taking my vocab file, and also, you see, I have given the clear-cut comments over here for your convenience. Okay, so for the vocab file, you need to give the double quotes, and for the model, you have to give the single quotes. All these things are mentioned very clearly. And padding size, I have taken as 1000 here. Of course, you can test it with the different sizes also. It's up to you. And I'm loading this model from my Google Drive and also loading the vocab file and trying to predict this statement, testing with the Colab itself. Log. Those two common functions which I told you to test it. While testing it, obviously you need to encode it and then pad it. See this. The feedback comment is 3 over here. Let me go there and change something here. Let's see, movie is amazing and excited scenes through, though it is horror, I like it. So if you want to remove or move something, see here, my complete review set or data set is about the electronic goods. But I wanted to give or test my model for the movie comment. So then also it actually worked. This means the words which are there, like amazing, excited, those things are close to my positive senses, positive context. That's the reason it gave you 3 feedback. Let's say the product is worst. So this is completely a negative comment. See this, negative feedback. Okay, let's see that sarcastic one. Just imagine in real time, if you have a chat bot or customer care, something like that. Once you receive the feedback in any format, convert them and apply this model so that you don't need to analyze each and every statement like that. Yeah, he's also near to almost less than 1. So the model predicted that this review comment is not positive at all. So like that, you can try different statements. Here, instead of having 1 by 1, if you Want to try one by one, this is the way. If you want to test with, let's say you have 1 lakh reviews or 2 lakh reviews, 3 lakh reviews in a CSV file or an XML file or JSON file, other file formats, then you can use this rest of the code and create a HTTP post method and post that file to this code, so that it will give you proper replies with a feedback rating, and you can save them back to your CSV file. And then that file you can load into your Google Studio to analyze the overall feedback. So all these products are connected, very connected. So look at them, in that perspective. Okay. So for these things are like, for logging I have used, you can see a log file here, whether any interruption is there or whether the entire process is going fine or not. All those things are logged here. For my while I'm testing it, I just use them. For that, logging is a class you can use to deploy this method. While deploying it into Docker or Kubernetes, I want to make sure that the entire Flask application is properly working fine. So I've used a routine called how am I, so that it gives me, if it gives me back yes I'm good, so I can move forward. So like that. So this entire other rest of the part is about that. If you can use post method, either plain text model like what we have used, and if you want to post a JSON one, so this code works. Anyways, I have kept else if and if conditions over there, so you can test with that. The instructions of the running is also given here clearly. And if you have Postman like softwares, or you can also test with the curl command. So all these options are given here. Every time when you run ngdoc, then one public IP address will be given like this. Once you run this, of course this won't work. Once you run this, a single server thread will be open. There you can actually give your answers and reviews, and that gives you positive or negative like this. See, prediction like this. So with this, I conclude this session here. Now it's open for questions. Anyways, I'm gonna share all these things, don't worry, so that you can practice with any of the one reviews from the Amazon, or anyways, of course, it's up to you. I'll be very happy if one of you guys can actually complete the coding part of the other data set. Yeah, thank you. Siraj?
Yeah, sir. Thank you very much, sir. This session was very practical and very informative. Thank you very much. A small information to all the participants. Attendance for day 3 is available in chat box. Please click the link and mark your attendance. The attendance link is only available for another 5 minutes, so please do it. Meanwhile, if you have any queries, you can post the queries in chat box. At the same time, you can also ask to the speaker by raising the hand. We will unmute the person who raises the hand, and he will get the opportunity to directly speak to the speaker.
And one important thing, yes, tomorrow, people, whoever want to work with, tomorrow the model I'm trying to help you out is like, we will create a Hadoop cluster in Google Cloud Computing, and I will take some data of recommendation engine LC. Then we will use Spark ML and deploy the ML job on Hadoop cluster to analyze the data and create the predictions. So in overall, we will see multiple tools which are available in cloud by default, which are managed by the cloud service provider like Google. And then we'll see how these tools work in synchronous way to predict something. So that is what tomorrow we are going to do. So tomorrow, less of code, more of tools. And the next day, I'll try to show you auto AutoML, where you don't need to write the code and train the model completely. And the same case with code. So like this, I've planned. So where you can train, learn some few things with the cloud already deployed services, and few things with the code. Okay, today is complete coding session. So tomorrow, complete tools I will introduce you. While using tools, again, let's stick to one ML problem, and I will also introduce the Hadoop tomorrow.